Every now and then, some corporate executive gets the bright idea that they should pit two beloved characters against one another. This has become a regular occurrence in Hollywood, and as they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This method of filmmaking has given us rather predictable fare such as Aliens vs. Predator, Aliens vs. Predator Requiem, yikes, Freddy vs. Jason, and Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice. These films all fall into the same inevitable trap: genre tropes everywhere, bland human characters, ludicrous plots, and endings that you can see coming a mile away. The latest Versus movie is Godzilla vs. Kong, which turns two of the most iconic and recognizable cinematic legends against each other to see who's really the king of the monsters. Let's discuss. Thank you so much for checking out the review. Before we get started, click on that red subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you know whenever I post a new video. Here it is, folks, the long-awaited throwdown matchup you have been waiting your entire lives for, or as the internet has deemed it, nuclear-powered lizard versus monkey. If there's one massive net positive from this film, it's that we have received some truly spectacular memes. Setting the memes aside, Godzilla vs. Kong is 100% without a doubt the exact movie you expect it to be. Apparently, Legendary Pictures has something called the Monsterverse, and this is the fourth movie in that. If you're like me and didn't realize that was really a thing, don't be embarrassed. The three previous films in this series are very unremarkable. 2014's Godzilla was the first one, 2017's Kong Skull Island was the second, and 2019's Godzilla King of the Monsters was the third. If you're wondering about the quality of these films, they vary from bad to watchable, with nary more than a handful of memorable moments between them. I watched Godzilla in theaters and it was fine. I remember watching Kong Skull Island and King of the Monsters at home, and I couldn't tell you a single notable thing about either of them. Taking place sometime after the last Godzilla film, the nuclear ocean lizard starts attacking some sort of corporate headquarters off the coast of Florida, apparently for no reason at all. Well, there is a reason, and it is incredibly stupid. The Apex Corporation is building something inside that headquarters. Because I'm a nice guy, I won't spoil it for you, but I can assure you that it is most dumb. The reasoning behind all of this actually made me snort and roll my eyes while sitting on my couch, and it's just a poorly written excuse for Godzilla to suddenly become the bad guy. Of course, the heroes that nobody cares about kidnap Kong and pit monkey against dinosaur. Serious question for a second. Who writes this junk? I feel like somebody sat down at their desk with three binders: action movie tropes, sci-fi movie tropes, and disaster movie tropes. Once the binders were open on the desk, they just started ripping page after page out and, stapling them to the wall. After that, they took out their phone, took a picture of the mess on the wall, and sent it to the studio executive, who immediately printed it out, stared at it for about 30 seconds until their eyes glazed over, and then they were like, yeah, this is fine, let us proceed in making this movie. You got Alexander Skarsgård as the brave male lead scientist who understands just enough about energy anomalies to successfully drive the plot. You got Millie Bobby Brown as the plucky girl who just wants to help. You got Brian Tyree Henry as the comic relief who's in way over his head. You've got Rebecca Hall as the nerdy science lady. You've even got the villainous corporate tycoon with the evil family member that's willing to do whatever is necessary to make a bundle of money and change the world. Like, half the movie's dedicated to the B-plot, where 50% of the main characters spend their time doing a bunch of things to sabotage the bad guy and save the day at the very last minute, while the main plot is an equally lame collection of stereotypical action sequences. And if you thought this movie was just going to be Godzilla fighting Kong in a huge metropolis at the end, nope. Of course they do that, but they also have to team up against an even bigger and badder monster that you should be able to see coming a mile away. There's even a little deaf girl that teaches Kong sign language, and that makes the movie, like, more relatable or something. This movie is stupid. So now that I've established that the plot of this movie is extraordinarily dumb and 50% of it is spent following characters that are useless, does Godzilla vs. Kong have any redeeming qualities? Actually, yeah, it kinda does. The movie looks and sounds fantastic, and seeing the two titans of classic monster cinema slamming each other into buildings for the first time in 60 years is pretty freaking great. It's brainless, dumb, and designed to inject just the right amount of serotonin into your brain, but not enough to last longer than 30 seconds after you leave the theater. Unfortunately, director Adam Wingard spends way too much time focusing on the boring human subplot, and it really takes away from everything else that he does well. If I had to break down the Godzilla/Kong verse, or whatever we're calling this thing, here's where I would rank these films. Godzilla King of the Monsters would be dead last because I was bored to tears and I didn't like it. Kong Skull Island is third because I remember nothing about it, and so it goes here by default. Godzilla vs. Kong, aka this movie, is second because it's not first. Gareth Edwards' 2014 Godzilla reboot is first because Bryan Cranston is in it and Breaking Bad is awesome. and because Elizabeth Olsen is in it, and I have a crush on her. Duh. It's also the one that I remember the most about. So there you go. I gave you some bonus content with the definitive ranking of the MonsterVerse, so don't say that I don't ever do anything nice for you. Thank you so much for watching. If you found the review helpful, please consider subscribing. You can also like and share the video since that tells YouTube it is worth promoting. Let me know what you think of Godzilla vs. Kong. Let me know how you would rank these films personally, and I'll see you next Wednesday at 9 a.m.